not in a good mood. I'd like to blame it on my husband, but it's not his fault.
At least only partially. There's always a little bit of fault.
No, we've been trying to put together an episode for some weeks now, but life keeps happening and so now we've scheduled it in our calendars and we're sitting down to make this and literally a minute before Enrico walked in the room, there was like this massive construction going on in the background and I just went like I don't know and yeah, it brings up those thoughts, so similar thoughts to what I went through, what you went through in cancer of like, what am I doing? Is this even the right thing? I thought I was on the right track, and now there's this thing.
And that thing.
Yeah, just where do I go? What do I do? You know, give me a path.
I think if I remember correct, at least for me, it was like several times I felt like, okay, we got this. Like I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and then out of nowhere, it's just like,
Yeah.
and I think we're laughing a little bit because this felt like a reminder, like we've been trying to set a date, we talked about what we want to talk about high level, and then every time it doesn't happen, today's the day, it's gonna happen, and here you go.
Mm-hmm. Here's some. What are those things called? Sledgehammers. Here's a sledgehammer for the background of your recording.
Yeah, and that's how it felt sometimes on the cancer journey too. It's like, okay, I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right things, and then it takes a sledgehammer to recognize I'm not in control.
Yeah.
At least not as much as I would love to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. That I feel is the reminder. Like, I'm not in control here.
Yeah.
You know what I am reminded of when you got your skin cancer diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. I was defeated.
Yeah.
And not so much because I was obviously also afraid of the skin cancer, but it was more like, God damn it, I just went through this, Like I've just been doing all these things and here you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if I remember, what you said was, what am I doing wrong?
Mm. Yeah, it wasn't a why me. It was really like a what am I doing wrong? Yeah, what am I doing wrong? So many things, apparently.
And also nothing at
And
all.
also nothing at all. Yeah.
I guess, this brings up something for me that came up the other day when we think of right and wrong and these judgments and this discernment. Right and wrong according to what? According to whom? We can even say right and wrong according to the universe or according to God, but even then it comes down to
Interpretation.
interpretation and what does it mean individually and for you. And what came up the other day in this group that I'm in is that we have this intention and we're going forward with this intention in the case that we just talked about, being healthy and trying to let go of those things that were contributing to cancer in our lives. And what is right, quote unquote, is when we continue on a path that's conducive to staying healthy. And therefore, what's wrong, quote unquote, becomes when we start going off on a path that's not.
Mm-hmm.
But even that is completely subjective. And even when I say that, when we go off on a path that's farther away, isn't that then just the ideal opportunity to learn what doesn't work? Because if we do it all right, we don't really learn as much as if we make a mistake.
Yeah. And I think for me, like common challenge for the control part, like controlling the environment, is that I went from controlling maybe the wrong things, work and career and too much, to maybe being a bit too obsessive about controlling the health things,
Mm.
like schedule, eat, sleep, no, right? So there's also this feeling of like two times wrong doesn't make it right.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with judgment, just because this doesn't feel good doesn't mean that the other one,
The opposite.
the opposite is the right.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's more about balance and accepting that there are many, many, many things that we don't control. And that's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard when you sit down and we're busy and we're parents and we have jobs and we want to record, and then somebody says, no, today we're going to tear up the road next to your building. Yeah, but we just don't control it.
Yeah.
And I think not only are there many things we don't control, maybe we shouldn't obsess too much about the things that we do control
Mhm.
to compensate for what we don't control.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Letting go of that control in all regards.
Yeah. Not all of it. I mean, but don't be obsessive about it. I feel like that's my challenge very often in life.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, ooh, drinking is not good. I don't drink, period, ever. I'm like, oh, I ate too much sweets. They're gone. No more sugar forever.
Black and white.
It's pretty radical, and it doesn't feel like it's the right path sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I try to accept that there are things that are uncontrollable by controlling the crap out of everything
Something
that I
else.
can't control.
Yeah. The way that I look at it when you describe it, I see it as, okay, I was very much into work and doing this and dealing with that. Okay, and now I need to leave that behind. And so I'm going to take my head and put it over here. And what is in the middle is presence.
Mm.
And to me, that looks like taking this energy from the head and bringing it down into the body in a form of trust, in the form that what feels right is right for me. I can trust my body. I can trust in the universe, or I can trust in a higher power. I can trust in God, and I can just breathe and live.
Mm. Yeah. I like the analogy of taking the head over there, kind of like the way that it sounded to me was like I'm taking the same play
Mm-hmm.
from one field to another field,
Mm.
but I'm still playing the same game.
Mm. Yeah.
And maybe there needs to be more acceptance of either the fact that I don't control the game as much as I want to, or maybe it's just not the right game. Maybe I should loosen the rules of the game a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like
It's very
you're being asked to play differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe now that we use that word play, maybe you're being asked to play.
To play instead of control.
Yeah, instead of like fight to win.
Mm.
Mm?
Mm. It brings me back to like kind of when I think about my passion into football, soccer, like you never start something like this to win.
Mm.
Like you started for the joy of the play.
Mm.
And maybe it's a good analogy for life too.
Mm.
We don't set out to win or to get a big house or
Succeed.
or I don't know. Like we start this game by just wanting to play
Mm-hmm.
and just enjoying.
Yeah. Could you imagine taking that perspective into the heart of a cancer journey?
Mm.
I don't think I could necessarily look at it
It
and be
feels
like, I want to play and explore this experience.
no, but actually, like it just felt like it, it to me. It just instantly felt like, wow, I don't have that. I don't have that power or that presence.
Hmm.
I bet there are people that have it,
Sure.
like at a certain point in life, maybe where you can just say, look, this is what it is. Just gonna go with it. I think I was on the anxiety inducing square. But yeah, I think it's a provocative thought. What would it take and what kind of attitude or mindset would it need to say, okay, this is just part of life. Let's just play.
Yeah. Can I challenge you?
Mm,
You said you don't have that power. I would say you do.
mm,
That power is always available to you. You've just forgotten that it's an option.
yeah. Or forgotten or maybe not able to dig deep. All that anxiety, all that fear, all that control. It's just kind of like it's like blocking. It's not allowing me to go that deep, right?
Yeah.
It's like noise.
Yeah.
It's like a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Yeah. Good analogy.
Well,
Maybe see through the noise a little bit more with and without cancer.